left off exploring the link between the Arthurian legend and archaeological and historical fact. Well, now in our second talk segment, we're going to look at the world, Arthur's world, the place that he's born into. Now, Arthur's world is filled with paganism, magic, and wizardry. Now, the pagan religion, the old pagan ways, are still a major force in the Celtic society, but the cult of the carpenter, this new troublesome religion, is rapidly spreading. Missionaries are hard at work in targeting community leaders. They cover vast distances, land and sea, and basically they target warlords, kings, princes, queens, nobles, in order to convert entire communities in one sweep. There's basically a cultural battle going on between pagan and Christian ideology. An example of this is the documented battle between Saint Patrick and the wizard Lothroth. This is around the time that Patrick is trying to convert the king of Tara. Now, I want to get a little bit into Merlin, because Merlin has a lot to do with this cultural clash that's happening at this time, because he's basically a synthesis of both cultures. He's the pagan equivalent of a Christian saint. Now, he's an elusive, mysterious figure, always at Arthur's side. He's basically a foster father and a tutor. Now, this is really a very strange pairing when you think about it. Arthur leans heavily on his advice and wisdom, and Merlin basically prophesizes in verse, casts enchantments, and acts as the supernatural helper and spiritual advisor. Now, this is a different, extraordinary situation when you think about it, because Merlin's a pagan figure, a wizard or a magus, and he's serving a Christian king. Arthur's not only a Christian king, he's intent on finding religious relics. All right, so it is a little bit unusual here. For those of you who doubt that Arthur's actually a Christian ruler, well, it's documented in the Welsh Chronicles that he carried the cross of Christ and images of the Blessed Virgin into battle. So, like I said, we have a Christian king, a pagan wizard. Well, what does that point towards to? It points towards the fact that in Arthur's kingdom, there is religious toleration. Arthur has multi-faith ideals. He might even have been a multi-faith individual himself. Now, Christians often hung on to their pagan heritage. It's not unusual. They hang on to the ceremony and ritual, the elaborate regalia, and the ancient customs involved, because the old ways still have power. And there's an element of truth to this relationship between the pagan wizard Merlin and the Christian king Arthur. Now, let me get a little bit into Merlin, because a lot of you probably have no idea that Merlin is a genuine historical character. Merlin is actually Celtic for Martin, and there is a Merlin that's mentioned in the Black Book of the Carmelithian. He's mentioned. He has 3 poems in this book. He's listed as a poet or bard. He's actually a carminator. Now, a carminator is the warrior's poet. He basically hangs out with the warriors. He's the big poet laureate for the king. Now he's the poet. He's the news broadcaster. He's the entertainer, and he's also the critic. Now, this is a very high station. He has very high status. He's the bard of the war band. Now, he composes and sings praise poems. He writes eulogies when the warriors don't come back from battle or are slain during battle. And he writes these tales of great deeds. And he basically is the court's spin doctor. he shapes the king's public image. Now, he's a bard in the Druidic tradition. As I mentioned, he has very high status. The Druidic bard is a very well-respected and feared individual because the Druidic bard's words can kill. All right, now he's considered something of a tragic character in the Black Book of the Carmelithians because he loses his mind during a battle. He basically freaks out during battle and goes into an awan. And now, an awan is a type of prolonged poetic frenzy. It's a prolonged communion with the spirits, and his compatriots simply couldn't deal with this, and he's outcast. He's banished to the woods, and he becomes a wild man. He becomes a hermit. He becomes a John the Baptist type character, a voice, composing and reciting poetry in the wilderness. Now, Merlin does not enter the Arthurian legends until the 12th century A.D. Geoffrey of Monmouth, in his book The History of the Kings of Britain, which is around 1135, I believe, basically manipulates the ancient Welsh tradition and lifts Martin/Merlin from that big book, that big black book, and creates a new literary character for the Arthurian mythos. Now, the literary character is a dark, complex, unpredictable sinner saint. He is good and evil in one being. This is a direct reference to the pagan Christian synthesis that is going on during the historical Arthur's time. Now, Merlin is something of a wonder child. He's born of an unholy union. His mother is a nun who is seduced by a demon. He's half human and half demon. He's born of an unholy union. Well, Arthur, the legendary Arthur, is also born of an unholy union because his father, Uther Pendragon, uses sorcery in order to trick Queen Igraine into committing adultery. So both Arthur and Merlin share that unusual zygote, that unusual birthing process that separates them, puts them apart from ordinary humanity. All right, now, as I mentioned, Merlin is a magical wonder child who grows up to be the ultimate magus. Now, all of this is directly related to Geoffrey of Monmouth's classic book, The History of the Kings of Britain. I actually have a copy myself. It's an ancient paperback. It's from about 1950 or so that I found at a local book exchange that's in pristine condition, and I grabbed it as soon as I saw it, and I read it a number of years ago and enjoyed it immensely. So, Mr. Geoffrey of Monmouth weaves the pattern for the Arthurian legends that we all know and love. And with that thought, we're going to be taking another musical break. Stay with us. This is God Rock